Hey guys, welcome to Two Nerd Sportscast. I'm Lee,
And I'm Joel.
and today we will be talking about some interesting things. Like we're going to be recapping obviously our free agent destination stuff, basically what we've talked about, and some future ones that we are going to predict as well. Talk about some big moves that have happened. Talk about two really big storylines that happened this past week with the 49ers and Sam Darnold. And then we're gonna get right into some 2021 draft prospect tier lists, with it being running backs, offensive linemen, and defensive linemen this week. And then we're gonna wrap it all up with the NFC and AFC East. Let's get into it. So first off, we're going to, like I said, recap some big moves. So the Jaguars added Damian Wilson from the Chiefs. Here I had a couple things written down. Um, he had 73 combined tackles, which is good. Three tackles for a loss and zero sacks. I don't
I
know.
like I like Damian Wilson. He's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's a starting caliber linebacker. And for the Jaguars just looking to fill their holes as they try to turn into a contender, it's a good signing. I always liked Damian Wilson from when he was back on the Cowboys, and I liked him while he was with the Chiefs still. So I may have a little bit of Cowboys bias there, but I
No,
think he's a good
that's
player.
no. That's fair. I was just laying out some interesting stats, like to just kind of I don't want to necessarily say play devil's advocate because I mean you did really like tout him super high, so I'm not trying to say devil's advocate, but like just like some interesting stats that I found that he could definitely work on.
Yeah.
I mean the 73 combined tackle, the 73 total tackles like that's good. Like it's good. I just
Mhm.
mean the three tackles for a loss and the zero sacks. It was just interesting. But no, of course, the Jaguars they're trying to build something. They're trying to create something. It's a good signing. Um, but moving on to Colton Miller lands a huge extension. I mean, he's a good left tackle, but I also wrote
The
right here. I also wrote, but that's a lot of money. The money I believe is 3 years, 54 million.
42 of it guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. It's huge for a player that I don't think is in that elite class of left tackle. I think that
No,
money
no.
puts him in
He's
like the top 8 paid tackles in the league or something like that. And that's way too much money for a guy that's still pretty raw.
no, yeah. Right next to me saying, but that's a lot of money. I also wrote in parentheses, uh, dang it, Texans,
And why is that?
because they freaking drove up the price of left tackles with Laramie Tunsil.
No,
They
that's true.
drove
That's
it
true.
up.
They accelerated the market by about 5 or 6 million faster. And
Like,
it's hurting
like,
everybody.
yeah,
And
like,
for a
hold,
cash
like,
poor Raiders, this is a rough move. I get why they had to do it, but
which is why I almost blame the Texans more than the Raiders. But like that's why I was saying like he's a good left tackle. I like him, but like that's a lot of money. like,
too much money.
um, but yeah, I'm kind of boiling all of this down to this is probably the market we're going to see for left tackles from here on out, and it's because of the Texans. So if any of you fans are ever mad about how much your left tackle gets paid, you could just blame the Texans. But moving on, um, Quentin Dunbar to the Lions.
That's a good move. The Lions are just rebuilding. Quentin Dunbar is an excellent depth signing. I liked him back when he was with Washington and for a short time in Seattle, even though it wasn't all that successful. Um, but he's a excellent depth player. And for the Lions, they're just trying to field a roster at this point. And they're still hurting from the loss of Darius Slay when they traded him to the Eagles a while back. So they're just filling roles at this point.
No, that's totally fair. They are just filling roles at this point. It's a good signing. It's definitely a good pickup for the Lions, and I mean, like you said, they're just trying to fill a roster. They're just trying to get something going. And if he works out in the long term, I mean, great. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the Lions' MO this year is fill out the team, and if any of them work out, fantastic. If not, we're still rebuilding. Give us a couple years. But
Exactly.
if they do this correctly in a couple of years, watch
They could
out,
be some.
NFC North. They could finally actually be contenders instead of being the people that get stomped on. Kind of like a similar team in the AFC North with the Browns.
Oh yeah, doing a similar turnaround of the Browns. That's pretty steep because the
No, no, no.
Browns
I'm
have
not.
pulled
I'm
off
not saying. I'm not
something.
saying it's going to be the Browns, but I'm just saying like, watch out. I mean, hey, AFC North, NFC North,
I
but
mean, be cool. Be cool. And Lions fans deserve it. They've suffered through way more than what's fair. But we'll see if that ever comes to fruition because they've tried to rebuild many many times, and they've
oh yeah,
I have no faith in them to actually pull it off for the first time. They're doing the right things. They're getting there, but I do
but
not want to put any stock in it yet.
no, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we may be high on everything that they're doing because it all looks good, but at the same time, yeah, you have to be realistic. They've never done a rebuild correctly.
Yeah.
But
So
hopefully, Lions fans, hopefully this time, hopefully this is the time. And honestly, I mean, it's always nice to see fresh, to see fresh faces emerge as like contenders. It's always nice to see because it keeps it fresh. It keeps it, uh, you know, almost like a revolving door. You don't want to see the same person win year after year after year after year after year. I mean, that's mainly the reason why the Patriots are so hated right now. Is because
most
they just
definitely.
won so much.
Yeah. You gotta keep the league competitive.
Yeah.
So
Um, but let's move on to some free agency talk. So I don't believe uh yeah, it doesn't look like any of our free agents that we have guessed on so far doesn't look like any of them have signed. But we are going to get into some that we're going to predict. And we're going to start that off with Antonio Brown. Now, he is currently with the Buccaneers, and he could re-sign with the Buccaneers. They are in trade or are in contract talks, like trying to work it out and all of that good stuff.
mhm.
Um, but oh,
But the reports have been that they're pretty far apart. So I think it's still likely he lands with the Bucks. But if he were to go elsewhere, I think that Baltimore would be an excellent spot for him. I think that would be appealing for him not only because he likes Lamar Jackson, but also he can finally play with his cousin in Hollywood Brown. And the Ravens need some wide receivers, so that could be a lot of fun.
but would he take a hometown discount for Baltimore? Because he would almost have to. They don't have the cap.
He's not going to be worth that much,
Well, yeah,
honestly.
but
I
I
mean,
mean, he's already asking for more than what the Bucks want to pay him.
the Bucks have even less than the Ravens. Ravens can move some stuff around. The Buccaneers can't because they just handed out all fresh contracts. They can't
I
they can't
mean,
free up anything else.
I mean that's fair. That's fair. They did literally sign every single starter.
Yeah. I
But
think I think they could get him on a 1 year, $4 or $5 million deal, and that's affordable. And it fills out the wide receiver room. I mean, to be able to get a player potentially of Antonio Brown's caliber, imagine if you get the Antonio Brown from a couple of years ago for that price. How can you not do it?
especially if he gets Sammy Watkins from his prime, if he
Yeah.
stays healthy.
All of a sudden, you have one of the premier wide receiver cores with those two guys. Not to mention Hollywood Brown's emergence. So
I
it could
mean
work
that.
out.
I mean for Ravens fans, that actually sounds pretty enticing. And on top of that, he gets to play against his old team, which he might want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he might he might want to play against the Steelers. So yeah, no, that's a very good point. Now, what I was going to go on about is actually I was going to talk about possibly the almost any team in the AFC East actually wanting him. So there's, the Patriots that he could go back to. I think that one's the least likely of the AFC East, but he could go back there. The Jets, go back there, try and help out their young receiver core that they have. They've already done quite a few signings, so again, I don't think that's as likely. Um, he could. The Bills are also. I said the AFC East, but like the Bills are kind of iffy. Mostly, I was looking at the Dolphins, right? So they would really like the veteran help in there to really help that young core of receivers. Um, but I'm actually going to flip it all on and go to a different Florida team and say the Jaguars.
Okay. I could see the Jaguars.
Yeah,
That would
I was just
that
saying
would be
the
kind
AFC
of fun.
East could be a home for him, but I like the Jaguars more than any of the teams in the AFC East simply because they are going to be drafting so many people. They are getting so many new people. Having some veterans is going like I was trying to say for like the other teams, having some veterans, especially in Jacksonville, is going to be really, really, really nice.
The only risk there is that Jacksonville can't afford to throw a potential cancer into that locker room. And that's the fear. You don't
Yeah,
want
I
with
mean
all
he
the
wasn't
young
cancerous
people,
this year.
but he had Tom Brady to discipline him.
Yeah.
So throwing him in there with all these guys, I mean, with all the draft picks they have, they're probably going to have 10, 12, first year, second year starters. You can't have him poisoning their careers or poisoning their personalities. Can't do it. So that would be my fear. If he can prove to the GM or to the coach that he's going to behave himself, then okay.
No, that's fair. I mean, I feel like that should be almost with any team because there's also a lot of teams that do have some young people. I mean, like you said, like Antonio Brown and Hollywood Brown. I mean, I don't think Antonio will rub off too much more on Hollywood, but or Marquise, I should say, because talking, like the family. Um, because I mean, he also already knows Antonio. Like they've already, you know,
They grew up together.
exactly. But I'm just like he could rub off a little bit on him or any person that they draft because they're probably still going to draft a wide receiver because they need depth at that point.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I completely understand your argument though. But I feel like that could be an argument for any of the teams.
No, that's true.
Um, but let's move on to Eric Fisher. So, where you got him?
I think he'll re-sign with the Chiefs. I see absolutely no market for him anywhere else at this point. So I think he's going to come crawling back to the Chiefs at a steep discount, and they need tackles. It would make a lot of sense for them to bring him. The whole reason they cut him was to save salary cap space. I don't think they have an issue with him as a player.
Well, no,
Salary
I don't
cap
think they had
and
an issue
the
with Schwartz either. No, no.
no, it was fully a salary cap move. So if he can come back for cheaper, I mean, I see no market for him right now, and it just makes a lot of sense. And they already brought back Rimmers. They could still bring back Mitchell Schwartz. They might bring back everybody at a cheaper price once they've tested the waters.
Except for the Jacksonville Jaguars need a left tackle.
Two guys to the Jaguars, you're
Yeah, yeah.
thinking?
See, I'm doing it this week.
Okay. No, that's fair.
I feel like that might be a theme of this video that me doing a lot of Joel stuff, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, no, I'm picking two people to the Jags. Yeah, I think Eric Fisher goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have the cap, they have the monies, and they need to protect Trevor Lawrence. And Eric Fisher can protect Trevor Lawrence. So
That's
yeah, no, I actually think it's probably a fairly good chance. And I feel like his market right now has been so quiet because there's been so much other stuff going on, you know? Um I mean, I know there really hasn't been much going on with Jacksonville, so they could have been doing stuff, but like I feel like they're preparing for a lot of things. And free agency is still kind of young, to be honest. I mean, all of the really big names have signed, but some of like these veterans, and these other guys who are lesser known, that they're going to take a little bit longer for their market to develop.
and some of them are
And
going to have to wait till after the draft, till
it,
after teams see that their needs can't be filled through the
no,
draft.
exactly, and maybe Jacksonville pounces on it then.
That's entirely possible.
But I do think they'll grab him because even if they get a guy, I mean, we're going to talk about the offensive lineman later, and Jacksonville's obviously not picking a lineman at number one.
No, they've got another certain name there.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. I just said it.
Yeah.
So we'll get to the other linemen later, but I feel like there's a lot of projects, and so I think a veteran is still going to be very nice for the Jacksonville Jaguars to sign. And Eric Fisher is basically like the last guy, except for Schwartz. But I already picked Schwartz to the Ravens. Um, but I mean, they could flip flop. I mean, if they're willing to, if Eric Fisher's willing to play right tackle, but I'm not going to get into that. Moving on to KJ Wright. Um, he had. I wrote down a couple stats because again, there was some nice stats here. This is actually going to be. Um, I said interesting for the last guy, but these are actually really good stats. So 86 combined tackles, 11 tackles for a loss,
Hmm.
and 10 passes defended. So
He's
not only,
incredible.
yeah, so not only is he good at getting people behind the line, but he's also good at stopping like pass and
Pass
run
coverage.
defense.
He was once one of the premier linebackers in the league, and he's still an excellent player. I honestly don't understand how he's still on the market. He's been just kind of hiding. I think he's been biding his time, waiting to see. Uh, my pick for him was actually for him to go to the Cowboys until a few minutes ago. Mike Fisher broke the contract talks between the two of them broke down, and it doesn't look like that's going to be happening anymore. So my prediction, I had to change it in the last few minutes. So now, because KJ Wright he doesn't seem to care about returning to Seattle. He's already said, I don't want to take a discount. Doesn't want to do it. It could still happen. Also, could still happen with the Cowboys because he was interested in reuniting with Dan Quinn. But I think he's going to go up to the Jets. Is my pick now. The Jets need some linebacker depth, and C.J. Mosley is supposedly possibly on the trade block because of issues with him. Trade C.J. Mosley for whatever value you can get, and then plug and play K.J. Wright. That's an excellent move.
No, that is a very excellent move, and actually, I'm very sad because I wasn't keeping up with KJ Wright because I also picked him to the Cowboys.
You missed that
I
one, yeah.
I
No,
I actually really thought that he was going to sign with the Cowboys. That is a no bueno, as some people would say. Um, but I do really like the Jets pick. Another place I could see him going is probably. I mean, I want to say the Ravens because they also still need some kind of help on the defense on that end. Because I know they're looking for a safety. I know he's a linebacker, but like, they could shift some things around. But he would probably cost way too much for them. Um, the Jets are, actually, since we were going to have the same pick, I will go with the Jets as well because that does make a lot of sense. They need some kind of veteran help on that defense. And I'm sure Robert Sala would love to have him.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure there's a connection with Richard Sherman still. And I mean, I'm fairly certain that Richard Sherman is going to the Jets. So
They could reunite in New York. It would make a lot of sense.
that actually would make a lot of sense. It almost makes more sense than the Cowboys now that I think about it. But it seemed like he was going to sign with the Cowboys.
Definitely was
But
pushing that way.
yeah, and I mean they also still need linebacker help. But moving on to James Conner. Now James Conner, he had 6 touchdowns, basically 4.3 yards per average per attempt. But then he also caught 81% of his passes out of the backfield as a running back. I like that. I like that a lot. And from what I could see, the Broncos didn't have that great of a running back last year. That's the one place where they need to beef up something. I'm not saying James Conner is like the end all be all solution, but possibly better than what they currently have.
With Melvin Gordon, no, that would make some sense. I could see him going there. I don't think Melvin Gordon can ever be the number one, and with them letting Philip Lindsay walk, they need to fill that. I think they're probably going to fill it in the draft, but it's entirely possible that James Conner could be an option. My fear with James Conner is he had that stellar rookie season that everybody remembers, and then he's done absolutely nothing since and has been injury riddled, which is not good for such a young running back. My personal landing spot for him is the Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles love getting washed up running backs. I'm gonna throw a little shade. They love doing it. I mean, JHI and then Howard a few years ago, Jordan Howard. They can't get enough of it, and they always like having multiple running backs. Miles Sanders was kind of a big bust last year. He shows great potential, but he also can't stay on the field. They need more people in that running back room, and I think James Conner can be had at quite a discount, considering he's still available and running backs don't get paid out really much. I think they could probably sign him for fairly close to the veteran minimum, so it would make a lot of sense for them, considering they don't have a whole lot of cap space.
No, yeah, that would make a lot of sense because I mean, also because like you said, they don't have a lot of cap space. They kind of need to sign somebody close to veteran minimum. But which is why I also kind of like him going to the Broncos because it'd be a cheap option. They could still draft a running back, and it would just be some more depth there for now. Like I said, I don't think he's the end all be all solution, but I think he's better than what they got.
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of Melvin Gordon,
Yeah.
so that
Um. So that is going to be all of the free agents we talk all the free agents that we talk about this week. Whew, words are difficult. But some big headlines kind of happened, and so let's get into that. First off, Jimmy G trade rumors.
yeah, no,
Is
the
he
the
actually
rumors
going
have
to get
been
traded
swirling.
for a first?
I don't think he's going to get traded for first. I don't personally think he's going to get traded this year at all.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers are going to hold on to him and then try to trade. Maybe they trade him close to that week 8 trade deadline. Maybe that happens. But I think it's more likely that they trade him after next season. It and the dead cap will be less down there and stuff like that. It just makes a lot more sense.
No,
I
it
don't think they're going to be able to get the if they get offered a first, I think he gets moved. But I don't see any team offering him a first for him except for maybe the Patriots, and
yeah,
that's
I mean
even a
that's because that's
little.
a yeah. But so here, so I personally tweeted this out on our Twitter the other day, a couple days ago. I posted saying that they want a first for Jimmy G, even though they only gave up a second to the Patriots for Jimmy G in the first place. And what has he done to warrant going up to a first?
Nothing.
He's gotten injured and then lost them the Super Bowl when the rest of their team was on fire.
He's been
Like,
nothing but mediocre. If
um,
anything, his value should have gone down, especially since now he comes with a hefty contract price.
exactly. And on top of all of that, since the 49ers gave up 2 firsts to move up to 3, which I'll talk about that in a second, again, because I just think it's so strange. But since they sacrificed 2 firsts, they need more picks instead of high picks because they're losing out on 2 firsts, and they don't. I mean, without getting rid of good pieces on the team, they can't really recoup those 2 firsts. And I don't think they should want to recoup those 2 firsts. If you used up those 2 firsts and you're so confident on the guy you're about to get, then get more picks. I mean, still high day 2 picks. Round 2, maybe high round 3. Like you don't want like lower picks, but like I would almost rather have 2 day 2 picks than a first rounder if I'm the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you want more picks, and a team is more likely to give you 2 day 2s than a first?
Maybe we even see a deal similar to what the deal we're going to talk about in a second with the Sam Darnold deal, where it's like multiple middle picks. I could see that happening for him. And that if I'm the 49ers, I take that considering they're so lacking in the amount of picks in the next couple of seasons.
Exactly. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is because I mean these Jimmy G trade rumors happened, because they sacrificed 2 first rounders to move up to the third spot. And they're probably going to pick Mac Jones. Now, I know I was high on Mac Jones. Okay, like I get it. I sound like I'm being a little hypocritical, but I never said he was the third best QB in this draft. Never. And on top of that, I still said that I would like to see him sit behind a veteran, and a legit veteran, not Jimmy G. So, them sacrificing 2 first rounders to possibly go get Mac Jones, which also, by the way, Joel reminded me that I called before the first even report even broke. Like I saw that the trade happened, I called him and said, they did this for Mac Jones, didn't they? And Joel was just like, no, no, they're getting Fields or Lance. And I'm like, Lynch doesn't want Fields or Lance. He wants somebody who's going to work now. Fields and Lance are projects. Well, Lance is. I don't think Fields is as much of a project.
No,
Um,
I think Fields is way more plug and play, but opinions
but
vary on
but
that.
but there's a lot of like that kind of going around with Justin Fields right now, and I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's a team trying to sabotage his look so that he falls to them, but dude, I don't know because Justin Fields looks amazing. I mean, yeah, he had a sus season, but there was a lot of things that happened in the season to make things sus. Like I mean, he didn't get majorly injured. He played through injury, but like it was also only 6 or 8 games or something, like 6 or 8 games. It was a short season, and he slipped up a little bit, but he still looked good when it mattered. I mean, I know he lost the big game, but he still looked good other than being injured.
Most definitely.
But moving on. Basically, I was just saying that like I don't understand why they would sacrifice 2 firsts for Mac Jones. I wouldn't sacrifice 2 firsts for Justin Fields.
I'd barely sacrifice 2 firsts for Trevor Lawrence. They're all technically unknowns.
Exactly. I just the what the 49ers are doing right now are bewildering me, and I don't I want to understand. I want if somebody out there can tell me, like explain it to me why they're overpaying tackles who are old and giving them 6-year contracts, why they're giving up 2 firsts to go up and possibly get Mac Jones, who isn't even the third best quarterback. Can somebody explain those things to me?
Please.
Like, I just want to know. But
You're saying this,
something,
John Lynch. We need answers.
John Lynch, we need answers. We demand answers. But moving on to something that is a little less, at least in my opinion, a little less controversial. Sam Darnold to the Panthers for a sixth this year, and then a second and fourth in 2022.
I
It's
love
good.
it.
It's good. It's this is one of the best trades of this offseason
Easily,
because it is
easily,
good. I'm sorry.
easily one of the best trades. It's good for both sides. It's one of those few win-win trades that you'll ever see
And
in
it's
the
a win
NFL.
for the player.
Very
And
true.
it's a
Sam
win for
Darnold
Sam
seems very
Darnold.
happy about it. I mean, there was a video posted of his family throwing him a literal party for
And they
getting
had
out of
like
New York.
blue, like different shades of blue balloons because Panthers. No, I love this. I love it. Panthers, finally you did something right.
Yeah, their
Like their
offseason has
offseason
been
was
a
looking
loss so far.
sketch.
Yeah. And now they don't have to pick a QB at number 8. Now they don't have to reach. And they
They
can
could
even
even
trade back if they want to, or pick the best player available, which is how you should approach the draft. And if Kyle Pitts is sitting there, a generational talent like him, or Sewell, like you snag them and it's win 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 all the way down the road.
which is very good to happen because now because also there's the rumors that both uh the Lions and the Falcons want to trade back. Both those people are in front of the Panthers, and the people they're going to be trading back with are going to be grabbing quarterbacks, which they don't need to grab anymore.
So it's
So,
all the more likely a generational talent's going to fall into their laps.
because there's only going to be two picks in front of them that aren't QB.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. And if there is still a QB sitting there when it gets to number 8, you trade back and get a massive haul. You're going to get back all those picks and more that you just gave up for Sam Darnold. And then you come out way ahead, and that may be the move. And then you still, say you only trade back with the Patriots. That's not super far. You can
No, you
still
could
get a
still
very
get a
talented
great
player
talent at 15. At 15?
and probably pick up an extra first or maybe even two. So
This draft is so crazy. This draft is going to be insane, dude. Like, I don't four quarterbacks are going to go in the first four pit, like back to back to back to back quarterback.
in all likelihood, yes. And I do believe that all 5 of the top 5 QBs that we've talked about, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Jones, and Lance, will all be gone by the time
By
we get
eight,
we
by
pick
eight,
8.
by eight. I mean, with literally the Falcons and Lions both trading back with people who need a QB and the first three people needing QB, that's all five right there by pick 7.
Yeah, easily.
Like
Maybe
that
we
is
even see a 6th QB, Kellen Mond. I've seen his stock climbing. You never know. You never know.
6 QBs in the
Surprises
top
happen.
15.
Surprises happen. It could happen. If the Patriots lose out and they can't move up, who's to say? Who's to say they won't?
Oh my god, this is going to be crazy. Whew. Sorry, that is a lot to take in all at once. 6 QBs in the top 15. That is going to be insane. That is going to literally be insane if that happens.
Don't
Um,
forget, Trask is making some first round noise now with the
well, I'm
Saints.
sure he is with 5 of them going in the top 10.
I think there might be 7 QBs in the first round. That would
That's
be something to behold.
that would be something. But unfortunately, not all 7 of those are going to pan out as good first round picks. Like it's just and the likelihood of that happening is just, which is
Minuscule at
why
best
no one should move up and give up 2 firsts.
for
Nobody.
a prospect, in my opinion.
Huh?
for an prospect
Oh,
in
for an
my
yeah, for an F prospect. Like it, like I again, I like Mac Jones. I like him a lot more than Joel, but there is still those things that he needs to improve on. Like he still needs to get acclimated to the NFL game. Like you've compared him a lot to Tua. Not only did they play in the same college, but they do look alike. And Tua doesn't look that good right now. I think it would have been much better if they just benched him the entire year and let him learn under Ryan Fitzpatrick. And
would have
to
been
and,
better
and
for
we might be
everybody.
singing a different tune about Tua.
Maybe I wouldn't be. I am never going to be a fan of him.
Well,
It
I
doesn't
just mean
matter.
like I just mean like if he came out and actually did good like this next season, like if he sat the entire season this season, learned, and then next season he came out and actually did at least halfway decent and not like terrible, like we'd be singing a different tune in the respect of, at least like he's not garbage. Now people
Yeah.
are like, is he a bust already in his first year? Like
There was even
that's
talk of him getting replaced like Rosen did for a while when the Dolphins were sitting at number 3. And honestly, I would have been in favor of that move.
I mean they got Jacoby Brissett. All right, we got a little bit off the rails right there. Let's reel it back to the Panthers because there is another quarterback there that we need to talk about in Teddy Bridgewater. Where does he go now?
That's an excellent question. Apparently, they're allowing Teddy Bridgewater to negotiate with some other teams, and they're giving him freedom and trying to treat him right, which I like. I don't know where he's going to go. I really don't even have a prediction because I didn't expect him really to be available this season. I thought for sure the Panthers were going to be drafting a QB, or they were going to trade for Deshaun Watson and ship Teddy Bridgewater over to the
Yeah,
Texans.
yeah, and it would
That
have
was
just been
really
a
their only two options.
yeah.
So I don't know where he goes at this point. He might just be the odd man out, and they may have to release him. Or maybe he'll end up restructuring his contract, but he seems pretty unhappy there
No, yeah.
for
One
obvious reasons.
you actually want to know a place where I think he could go and would be really good for him, and I don't know. I think he would get released, and then this happens because I don't think the Panthers trade within the division in Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That was the one place I was going to suggest here in a second is Tampa Bay. It would make a lot of
It
sense
just it
for them
makes
to
too much
develop him
sense.
again. It, but the only fear with that, obviously, is will Brady actually let that happen?
Well, I mean, I don't think Tampa Bay grabs Teddy Bridgewater without talking to Tom Brady.
Well, obviously, you don't want to piss off the greatest legend and then him say, "Okay, bye. I'm going to go win a Super Bowl with somebody else now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Um, but yeah, but I think that would be a very good place for Teddy Bridgewater because he gets to learn under one of the best to ever do it. And like when we were talking about the quarterbacks, like it would be really smart for the Buccaneers to look to their future because Tom Tom Brady is probably only going to be there another 2 seasons, most likely. Not saying that he's going to retire after those 2 seasons. I just don't know if he resigns with Tampa Bay again. I mean, he could. Again, I
Don't
don't
want
know
to
the
doubt the
future.
man.
I didn't expect him to sign an extension this year in the first place. So he 100% could be all like, no, I'm gonna play it for the rest of my career, for another 5 6 years, however long, right? But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a good feeling on how long Tom Brady's going to be there because they probably talked about that when they did the extension. To at least an extent. Obviously they didn't get a hardcore yes or no because they didn't extend him past the next 2 years. But like Tom Brady could have been all like, like they could have asked, well, how long do you think you're going to be playing and how long do you think you want to play with us? And Tom Brady could have, just simply said like, hey, if things work out, I could see myself retiring here. That I mean
And
that
we
doesn't tell you exactly he could retire after the 2 years, and you're kind of up the creek without a paddle if you haven't done anything. But that could also mean you have like 5, 6 years, especially with how Tom Brady just turns it on in the playoffs and like doesn't play at all during the regular season. Like I mean, I don't want to say not play at all, but he really only plays when it matters. And
Yeah,
for him right now, he doesn't need the stats. He doesn't need all of that. He wants the championships.
that's all
He
that really matters in the end, anyways.
yeah, like yeah, exactly. None of it matters anyway because any quarterback that has a record on top like that Tom Brady doesn't have, they don't have 7 Super Bowls.
They might not even have one or two.
Exactly.
So
Like it doesn't matter. Tom
yeah,
Brady's the best because he has 7 Super Bowls. And he probably wants to make that rung as high as possible before he leaves. He
he might
wants
get
to
himself one or two more.
Yeah, he wants to accumulate an obscene amount of Super Bowls before he leaves. And having somebody like that teach Teddy Bridgewater, that could be amazing. Especially if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a good feeling that no matter what, either retirement or Tom Brady finding another place, if they're fairly certain that if he leaves in 2 years, this would be beautiful. And if Tom did kind of give a certain that he was going to leave in 2 years, I think he would understand them getting a quarterback to back him up, like a legit quarterback to back him up.
For sure.
Um, but let's move on into and talk about the AFC and NFC East. Now, let's just go to the NFC first. I think we've actually been doing the NFC first all the time, and let's just start with the Cowboys. Let's just go in on the Cowboys.
Here we go. So Dallas somehow managed to sign their largest free agent class in team history. That was a surprise to me. And it's not largest based on the amount of money, but it's the
Mm,
largest in the amount of guys they've
yeah.
brought in. They brought in a lot of dudes. They're all value in depth though, which I found extremely interesting. I mean, really the only big name signing we did was Keanu Neal, and that's even debated how big a deal that is because of his injury issues.
Well, and
But
technically keeping Dak
well, yes, but
because he
he's
was.
not an outside free agent though.
Oh, okay. He
See,
wasn't an
this was
outside free
largest
agent.
outside free agent
Okay.
class.
Okay. Yeah.
So they managed to re-sign Dak, which we talked about in a previous episode. I'm in love with the signing. I'm so happy. I'm not wearing my Dak jersey today. I'm wearing Romo, but I wore my Dak jersey a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I love him. Uh, we also managed to bring back Jordan Lewis, which I like Jordan Lewis. He's a great player. I like him a lot. I liked him when we drafted him. He's not always showing up to his potential, but he's a solid slot corner. I liked that we let Woods and Awuzie walk. Their potential never really showed up, and they got signed for varying amounts of expense. I like the Woods signing for Minnesota, but I'm glad to be rid of him. I did not like us letting Alden Smith go or Alden Smith. I'm gonna miss
And
him.
we still don't know. Wait, right? Like he's still up in
He
the air.
hasn't signed anywhere,
Yeah.
so we could bring him back. I mean, McCarthy said nothing's set in stone, kind of thing. But I think he's likely gone. I
Yeah.
think it's
I
Randy
don't.
Gregory time, which I'm fine with. I love Randy Gregory, so
Yeah. I don't. I
but
don't. I don't. I don't know if I would ever take anything McCarthy says.
too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would almost take it as far as I could throw McCarthy, which, by the
ain't
way,
very
is
far.
not far. He is a very large man.
Yeah. No, but for this free agency for the Cowboys, I'd slap a solid B on it. I
No.
mean, they
This.
up, down, didn't bring in a lot of talent, didn't let a huge amount of talent go, did a good job replacing. I liked like the Brent Urban signing, I liked the Basham signing, I liked the Keanu Neal signing, you know, but overall just solid. We'll see how they do in the draft to really define their offseason. If they kill it in the draft, this could go up to like a B plus, A minus, but it's not going to be one of those truly elite things. And they've managed to solidify it, so it's not a bad offseason. We're just kind of
No, most definitely, most definitely, and for me personally, I mean, I love that they finally addressed the secondary. Um, that the Cowboys are finally looking into that, and they got a legit defensive coordinator. Like I think they've got a legit guy now in Dan Quinn.
Very true.
Uh, I again I feel like a broken record, but it's only because Jerry Jones does this to himself.
Bringing in these
Mike
head coaches. Yeah.
McCarthy. Now, now that we're finally talking about the Cowboys, I can tell a little story about the beginning of this season. So, the beginning of the 2020 season, I remember Joel talking to me, being all hyped for Mike McCarthy, being all gun ho
You
about
got
it,
to be
saying,
optimistic.
no, I get it. You do have to be optimistic. I get it. But even if I was a Texans fan still, I don't know if I would be optimistic about David Coley. You also
No,
have to have some realism in it too. And I guess
I
for
did.
me,
There was some realism in there. I was like, I get it, but I just chose to be optimistic.
no, again, I'm not dogging you for it. I'm just stating that me growing up with my father being a Green Bay Packer fan, Mike McCarthy lost them so many games. It literally like Mike McCarthy's fault that like they didn't go deeper into the playoffs like almost all the time. Brett Favre and Aaron Rod. Well, yeah. Wait, did he coach for Brett Favre?
Think so. I think for a couple of years, maybe. I'm not
Yes.
100%
No,
on
no,
that.
he did. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers both carried his fat. I almost his fat behind to the finish line. Well, actually, I don't think Brett Favre carried him to the finish line, but he tried he tried his hardest to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because yeah, Brett Favre won back in the '90s, but he tried. He really did. Brett Favre really tried, and Aaron Rodgers really tried and succeeded once. But I mean, was it
To
a
be fair, we
hassle?
haven't seen him go any deeper in the playoffs since McCarthy departed. Aaron Rodgers seems to be failure in the NFC Championship game every time. Doesn't matter who's coaching.
I mean, I feel like it might be due to the youngness of the coach slash the team as a whole. I don't want to pin it all on Aaron Rodgers yet. I don't want to pin it all on Rodgers. I still think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's as prolific as some people might say. But
He's
I
a
think
regular
but
season.
I
He's
think
up there as a regular season goat. He is. He's really close in the
yeah.
regular season.
Yeah.
Past season, postseason, get out of here.
I I, I, again, I don't want to say get out of here because he still made it to the NFC Championship games. He still has made it there.
It's like 1 in 5 or something like that. Now, come on, you can't lose that many times.
No, I get it, but it could not all be on Aaron Rodgers. But we're also not talking about the Green Bay
No,
Packers. Trying to talk about Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys and the reason why in the very beginning of the season I consistently was saying that no, McCarthy is not going to be it for you. He's not going to be that it for you guys. He's just not. He's
no,
not
you
that
were
kind of
right.
guy.
You called
And
it.
then and then when it came out that he lied to Jerry Jones's face about still watching tape, I
That
was
should have
like,
been
"Are
the.
you kidding me?"
Yeah, that's when I threw up the red flag. No, I mean it's. I'm done with him already. He needs to be on the hottest of hot seats.
He's
If
Jason
we,
Garrett 2.0. He's Jason Garrett
he might be
2.0. You
worse. He
don't
might
need
be
to
worse.
deal with it. No, and I convinced you that he's possibly worse.
No, you did. That is true. That is true. Uh, I'm if he does not get us, if I'm Jerry Jones, if he does not get us to the divisional round or maybe even the championship round, he needs to pack his stuff and take his butt back on to Green Bay. That
Well,
that's where
I
we're
don't
at.
think Green Bay wants him either.
No,
I
that's
don't.
that's where his family all is.
Oh well. Okay.
Go back
Sorry.
home.
Sorry. Yeah. The get out of the league.
Yeah, sayonara, buddy. That's
No,
where it needs to be.
no, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, another thing is, I think he only threw two challenge flags, and he lost both of the challenges.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll give him is he's gotten better on fourth down. His fourth down efficiency is way up from where it used to be. If you look at it, go look at the metrics.
I mean, fair.
Down
I mean,
efficiency is
fair.
through the roof. He was the most successful on his calls on fourth down this past season.
I mean, that's sure, sure, but doesn't
We still
challenge
were losing
anything.
No,
Doesn't
no,
he doesn't have a
the challenges are why we
backbone.
weren't in the playoffs, even without Dak. The no challenges. I don't even know how many times I watched the play. I was like, challenge the you know what play. It's like, come on, it's brain dead decisions.
No,
But
yeah.
moving on,
He doesn't have a backbone. What literally what my dad called him throughout his time of being a Green Bay head coach was the Pillsbury Doughboy.
and I love that. I'll give a shout out to his dad. That's what I call him now.
Yeah,
That's his name.
the Pillsbury Doughboy. Like,
Yeah.
sorry. Like the Cowboys need to fix that, and then they can go maybe win. But Jerry Jones just keeps picking these people. These yet I hate to say it, but he keeps picking these yes man. He keeps on picking these people
Like
that are
yes,
just going to say yes to him and don't have a backbone. And that's not a winning head coach. I'm sorry. It's not. It's really not.
he's wasting Dak is what he's doing.
No, yeah. 100%.
But
Um
moving on, we need to move on to the
exactly.
Washington football team. Uh, I
The nameless team.
yes. Hopefully they get themselves a name next season, and I
No,
hope
no.
it's not the one.
The reports are it's not going to be until 2023.
Is it really that long now?
Or
They might. I've seen reports they might just stick with the Washington football team. And I moving on from the name thing though, I
yeah.
just can't believe that they're doing that. Their off season though has been
Has been good.
better than their name situation. So they managed to add Fitzmagic and Curtis Samuel. The Curtis Samuel thing, a lot of people are high on. I'm not quite as high on it,
I mean,
just for the reason that Rivera only brings in Panthers. It seems like it's like didn't work before. It's not going to work now. Find a new avenue. I truly believe if Cam Newton had really been available and the Patriots hadn't snagged him so fast, that Washington probably would have gone and gotten Cam Newton.
no,
But
you said that. I will attest. You said that a lot. You were saying that every single day until Cam Newton signed with the Patriots.
I will toot that horn
No, no,
until
and I almost can't disagree because he's even gotten like front office people from Carolina into Washington now.
he's
Like,
creating a new, and that's I think Carolina, which would be fine if Carolina had won the Super Bowl.
well, no, I mean, almost for me, I almost wouldn't want. I mean, like, look at the Texans trying to copy the Patriots. Like, it's not good to copy. It's not good to do that. I mean, I get that at least it's Ron Rivera and it's the same coach, but at the same time, like you can still coach the same, but you've got to have different. Like, if you didn't get a Super Bowl, or especially since you didn't get a Super Bowl, you can't. Like, it feels so weird getting those same people who are going to be
No,
making the same decisions.
yeah, but other moves that they made, they let Darby walk, but they managed to snag William Jackson III, which I think is a slight upgrade.
I mean,
And they
it's at least lateral.
yeah, at the very least. And then they re-tagged Brandon Scherf, which is their main sus that I put on their offseason. They brought him back, but a second time doesn't seem like a long term is gaining any traction. I hate to say it again because I compare all situations to this, but it really seems like another Kirk Cousins situation that he's going to say bye after this season. And Washington seems to do that to their players. They seem to disrespect them when it comes time for their big contracts, and it's not really fair. So
It really
for
isn't.
Washington, I got to slap like a B minus on it. I
Yeah.
like the Fitzmagic move. It makes them immediately competitive within the division. It's the answer for at least one season. They need to bring in another QB to develop under him, most likely. But just the Brandon Scherf thing, and then them not fixing the QB long term. If they can get hand Brandon Scherf long term, and they can bring in another QB, their offseason all of a sudden is looking like one of the best that
No,
they've
yeah, and also it
had
depends
there
on what
yet.
they do in the draft. Obviously, I mean,
No, for
for
sure.
all of these people, I mean, all of the obviously all of these talk is before the draft,
Mm-hmm.
so the
Where
draft can
things
change up
stand
a lot
before
of
the draft.
things. But
Yeah,
with the Washington football team, it does seem like that they haven't made as many solid decisions, which means that if they also have a poor draft, that their offseason could also go down a good bit.
that's
Um, yeah, no, I completely agree with you with the Washington football team. I love the Fitz magic. I love Fitzpatrick. He should have started the entire year for Miami, in my opinion.
he would have brought him to the playoffs, and who knows what he could have done there.
It was his
Who knows?
it was his one spectacular season, Dolphins, and you wasted it. I will never forgive you.
No, I won't either.
Um, but yeah, like the Brandon Sheriff thing is real rough. Um, like yeah, I just they need to either get a replacement or just pull the trigger on the contract. Just do it. Just
Just
do
give
it,
the man his
Washington.
money. He
Yeah,
deserves it. He's a top quality guard. Just if they have to pay him the most guard money in the league, just do it.
I mean, yeah, I
There's
mean,
no reason not to. He's still fairly young. He's got no injury issues really. I don't understand why it hasn't been done unless it's Brandon Scherf holding things up, which is almost equally as bad because
yeah,
then he doesn't want to be there.
yeah, no,
So
yeah, and at that point you can still say, okay, like let's let this guy go or trade him or
they should
something.
that should be maybe what they're looking at is trading him this season because they could get quite a bit of value
Oh,
for
they
him.
could. Oh, they could. Most definitely, 100%. But let's move on to maybe somebody who is trying to add value and can't really get rid of too much value. The New York Giants.
I'm gonna try not to sound too biased. Okay. The Giants, everybody's touting their offseason as a good offseason because of the amount of talent that they brought in. That doesn't make a good offseason. You really got to look at what they did. They came into the offseason with not that much cap space, and they did. They added a lot of talent on paper, right? Bringing in Kenny Galladay and Adoree Jackson. Look at their contracts. They're absolutely horrible. Horrible. I like Adoree Jackson as a player. I wanted the Cowboys to go grab him. But when I saw the price that they gave him, I was like, you can have him. It's fine. You know, and then with Kenny Galladay, massively overpaying. To me, what's going to be they're going to be looking out to get out of that
I
contract.
mean,
And even a year, even next offseason, we could be looking at them trying to get out from under this contract. I also don't like their Leonard Williams extension. Way too much money. I talked about that in a previous episode. Um, some of the moves that I more like was they added Kyle Rudolph. That's really good depth behind Evan Ingram because he does tend to miss some time, and maybe he can help Evan Ingram finally develop. Uh, Another move, John Ross. I've always liked John Ross's potential. Never really quite realized that he's just a speed demon. But that can help because Danny Dimes does have a tendency to overthrow. And John Ross, you can't really overthrow him too much.
I mean, yeah,
I also like their addition of Devontae Booker, but that should not prohibit them from going after another running back in the draft, like I was talking about
that's
earlier,
that's
or
fair.
maybe
That's
even
fair.
chasing a James Conner.
Or
So
yeah, or trying to grab James Conner as a nice little second. Yeah, no, I mean
they can salvage this offseason, but
they
it's
I was going to say you have to still say that they can still salvage this, even though there has like I just re-pulled up in my book the Kenny Galladay numbers just to reiterate this deal. It was 4 years, $72 million, and the first year cap hit is 4.65. Now the reason why the first year cap hit is so low is because they have no money, but yet they
there.
guaranteed him 72 million over 4 years. That means that in 3 years they have to basically give this man 65 million.
they're going to be so far in the red in the upcoming seasons for a team that when you look at them, they really don't look that much better than a 6 or 7 win team still, and they're going to be that far in the red. If they were a contending team and handing out these contracts, trying to chase the ring, I could maybe get behind it, maybe,
But yeah, but you you
but they're
you you
not.
are correct. It does seem like they're going to try and want to get out of it at some point.
You
And
you
it
can't be handing out contracts like that, and they haven't even found their official answer at QB in all likelihood. And if he does become the answer, how on earth are they going to pay him? It just there's so I hate David Gettleman. He's one of the worst GMs in my head, and this team is headed for one of the worst implosions that we will ever see, in my opinion. Of course,
I thought the Rams were heading for the worst implosion we've ever seen.
that's the worst talent exodus we've ever seen. Giants don't have that much talent. They're
No,
just
no, I
gonna.
know, I know. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, no.
He's just I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast, but he has stated multiple times that the Rams are going to be a very, 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 very big implosion. But
No.
I can't necessarily disagree with you with the Giants just because of how much money they're throwing at this, and it does seem like that there's just going to be a lot of like them trying to get out of these contracts or trying to restructure, trying to extend and keep the same amount of money, maybe take some of it, put it as a signing bonus. Like they're just going to have to try and restructure or get out of a lot of these contracts to continue to even have a team going forward. Like that's not a good point you want to be in. But again, they can still salvage it. They just have to be a lot smarter with their money and their contracts, and they are definitely going to have to restructure some stuff next season or even during the season. Like they're going to have to restructure stuff for if they even want a chance at reclaiming some kind of dominance in the NFC East. And another team that is really struggling, and I would argue struggling the most after winning a Super Bowl. Not what, three, four, five,
Four
five?
seasons later, I mean, we don't even see that many Super Bowl winning head coaches get fired, like ever. After you win a
Yeah,
Super Bowl, your job is almost secure until you retire. Like
or
that's
or
just
or
how
until
it's
you
always
want to
been.
go somewhere else.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's less than 10. I can't remember what the number is. I read a stat about it one time that have actually been fired after winning a Super Bowl. And he was gone
Like 3 years.
4 or 5 seasons after winning a Super Bowl, I think. It, I don't, we haven't seen such a quick dismantling and just, there's so much dysfunction within the Eagles organization. I mean, the GM and the head coach fighting it out, the coach and Wentz fighting it out. I mean, Wentz got shipped out, which I think is a good trade for the Eagles. I really do. I mean, they're having so much dead cap, but what else could they do? Wentz failed. They needed to get rid of him. I think they suckered the Colts. I talked about that recently.
I mean, I
Uh,
mean, I do think it was also best for Wentz because he needed to get out of that situation. Um, again, like I said before with the Colts, we have to see how it pans out. I'm a little sus of it, but again, his interview with Carson Wentz's interview with Pat McAfee really did help give me a little bit of hope.
mhm.
Um, but again, I'm also not a big Colts fan, so I don't really care either way. Um,
Yeah, but I do think Jalen Hurts can start for them at the
yeah,
very
he
least this
he
season.
can.
I liked Jalen Hurts as a rookie last year. I wanted the Cowboys to pick him for their backup. I mean, I think Lee remembers me saying that, and I was upset when he went to the Eagles because I
Yeah.
don't like
Oh,
him.
yeah. No, I remember you being upset when he went to the Eagles. I definitely remember that. Yeah.
And I do think that he can actually be a quality starter. Will he be? I don't know. The Eagles haven't given him that much to work with, to be fair. Um, I'd like their trade back to number 12. A lot of people are hating on him,
Oh no.
but
Oh,
their whole team needs work.
they're
Acquiring an
getting.
extra first and potentially having 3 firsts in the draft next year with the Carson Wentz deal, that boosts your team really fast because
No.
the overall core is still there when you look over at the defense with Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. They're still there. They're getting older, but you still got time to reload quickly. Could be a fast turnaround and rebuild. and maybe this new coach Siranachi or however you say his name works out, and they're back in contention for the NFC East in 2 years or 3 years. Maybe you get there. I don't think they accomplished that because of the dysfunction of the GM and the organization as a whole. But when you look at it, just removing personal bias, it could happen.
No, one.
I do like their moves of adding Flacco and adding Anthony Harris. They made some good discount moves. They're despite how badly their offseason looked horrible at the beginning. They've managed to salvage it slowly. If they have a good draft, they can do that. And then we really are really going to be looking at how they did next season
I was
when we see how Carson Wentz is. We won't really be. This will be one of the off seasons we can't fully evaluate until we see how Wentz is with Indianapolis
I was about to say it feels like the Eagles, no matter what, are going to be the bottom rung of the NFC East.
this next season.
But that's only because the good moves that they made are for the future. They're for next year. So next offseason, they have to slam dunk it though. Like
It may
they
even have to be the offseason after that. Their salary cap is still going to be looking sketchy.
no, that's fair. But
It's
but I
the
mean
next draft they have to slam dunk it.
that's more of what I was saying is that there has to be some slam dunk move slash draft next offseason for the Eagles, and then the year after that they have to do it again. Like they have to make something consistent because they are the second most dysfunctional team. I mean, the first most dysfunctional is the Texans. It's
That's not
easy,
hard.
but the second most, and uh, I do think they're a good bit less dysfunctional than the Texans, but still being the second most dysfunctional is
That's pretty bad.
it's
And in an
yeah
average season, they would be the most.
yeah yeah the Texans is a very um, once in a blue moon kind of thing. And funnily enough, it feels like the last time that a team was this dysfunctional was the Oilers.
No, but we're
So
not talking about Houston
sorry,
right now.
sorry, but
Yeah,
they are the second most dysfunctional team,
yeah.
100%. And so this next, so it's for me, it's almost like it's almost like this next season for them is kind of like with the Lions. This next season is almost like a I don't care what the record is.
You're
I
you're
mean,
taking an L next season. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, looking at a top five pick, maybe even in contention for that number one overall spot. If that happens, you can maybe replace Wentz if he's not so. I mean, not Wentz, Hurts if he's not so great, and it
or
can work
maybe
out
get
for the Eagles.
or maybe if because I mean if they are the worst, then they probably do have to replace Hurts because Hurts probably didn't play well enough. But I also don't think they'll be the worst team in the NFL.
No, that
So
probably is going to belong to either the Lions or the Texans, but they're going to be up there.
no. I still think they probably get like a top five pick. But I'm saying with that top five pick, they can help out Hurts.
No, that's true. If Hurts really turns out to be the guy, which I hope he does, I
Yeah,
really
I
do.
think he will. Honestly, I have a lot of faith in Jalen Hurts, and I think that next year they'll have a top five pick, and then they have two other picks, one from the Colts and one from
Trading back, and they snagged
I
the 49ers pick because the Dolphins kept their own,
no
and they gave
no
away.
no the Dolphins gave them theirs because they think they're going to have a better record than the 49ers. They wanted the better
Oh, that's
pick.
right. That's right. That's right. You're
So
correct.
realistically, probably two late rounders as two late picks, but three picks in the first round. That's still going to be a
That's
very
how you
good way.
rebuild real quick.
Exactly, it's still going to be a very good way for them to rebuild quickly if they can just get the moves right. And they could, they def. I don't want to anger Eagles fans because I think that you all just need to take next year obviously still root for your team, still want to win.
Or cover your eyes and take a 1 year hiatus. No one will blame you.
I mean, that's coming from the Cowboys fan though, so but all I'm saying is be like the Jets and the Jaguars are this year with being happy with the top 5 pick because that's probably what you're going to get.
Yes.
And
But moving on to the AFC East, because we've been running for a long time.
oh yeah,
Uh, Moving on, I think we're starting with Buffalo.
okay,
So Buffalo had a pretty great offseason. We alluded to that earlier in this cast. They managed to quietly bring back everybody,
they
like
did.
Daryl Williams and John Feliciano on their O line. And then you look at Levi Wallace, and they managed to bring back Matt Milano, who's quietly one of the best linebackers in the league. They really only lost John Brown and Ty Nishke, which are not huge losses. Both those guys are very replaceable, and they already replaced John Brown with Emmanuel Sanders. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of the Emmanuel Sanders signing because he is a little bit older. I don't think he's that great at this point in his career, but John Brown wasn't that great either. So technically, pretty lateral move. Uh, but moving on, I would have to say Buffalo is quietly having one of the better off seasons. It's a solid like B plus ish range. They're the pretty solidly the top of the AFC East. If they have a really excellent draft, all of a sudden we could be
Oh,
really talking about them as the favorites in the AFC.
oh, I could almost even see them being favorites of the AFC. Yeah, right, right.
Depending on the draft.
I,
Depending on the draft.
I mean, I'd almost even say, I'm saying as of right now. Like obviously, like if Kansas City drafts better than Buffalo, then yeah, you have to give it to Kansas City. But as of right now, I almost want to give it to Buffalo instead of KC. Like just because they haven't done anything that's sus to me, or at least not
No,
majorly sus.
that's important.
Like
For a contending team, keeping around your talent and
yeah,
then having
like
good drafts,
it's going to be the
that's how
same
you
Buffalo
build it.
team. It's going to be the same Buffalo Bills that we saw, and possibly better depending on what they do with the draft. And KC is already starting behind.
Yes, KC's already worse than they were last year. Now they may still be better than Buffalo. They're
No, no,
pretty
no.
close to even right now.
Again, which is why I'm saying I'm not doing it definitely, but I almost I want to because the Buffalo Bills again just haven't done anything sus to me, which
Hmm.
also kind of unfortunately also makes it really hard to talk about them because they haven't done anything spectacular either. So like it's just like we'll see what they do with the draft, but they've had a great offseason so far, just keeping people. And sometimes when you're a contender, that's really all you have to do. That's really all you have to do to make sure you keep contending. But continuing on to a team that wants to be a contender with the Miami Dolphins. Now, obviously losing Fitzmagic, that was probably inevitably going to happen, honestly. Um, but
Especially after they did him dirty, like we talked about earlier.
yeah, but I really like them signing Jacoby Brissett and Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller is going to be a great, like, kind of I don't want to say gadget, but he's a great like second slash third option. I know he was almost the number one option in Houston last year,
That's because
but
they got rid of our man Hopkins. I mean, he's best as a number two or a number three option, like you said.
exactly, exactly. And trust me, I love Will Fuller. I really like Will Fuller. Trust me. But
No, that's
yeah,
true. He's a Will Fuller fan. That's
but no, he definitely plays second or third fiddle. But it's a great pickup for the Dolphins, especially for a young quarterback like Tua. If they run it back with him, or if Tua stinks again, a great weapon for Jacoby Brissett. Because I really do feel like Jacoby Brissett has a very good chance of taking that starter role from Tua,
I think that's why
especially
he signed there.
yeah,
Jacoby Brissett smelled blood in the water.
no, one
He
hundred
wasn't going to
percent.
go somewhere where he didn't feel that he could get some playing time.
No, 100%. I think he's realized that he could do it, and he wants to do it on a legit team and a team with Brian Flores and a great defense like the Dolphins already have. I think that I am really high on the Jacoby Brissett slash Will Fuller stuff. Now trading Shaq Lawson for McKinney. I
They're
mean,
trading for an older player. It felt
yeah,
weird.
like
I
uh,
know it was a scheme move. It was a better move for the Texans.
yeah.
I'll give it that.
I,
It
and
just it just felt weird.
and what's up with the Dolphins and Texans doing all these trades? Like last year
I,
and now this year, like I don't
Even
know.
with different GMs, I think Maybe the Dolphins think they can just continue to take advantage of the Texans.
I
I don't know. I do like all the Dolphins trading though.
no
When
no
they traded
they're
back to 12 and hopped up to 6, that was an
oh
excellent move.
oh oh
Their
yeah
GM
no
overall is killing it.
they made out like bandits with the draft pick trades that they did. They made out like bandits. Like 100% they won that. Like they are the winners of the 49er Dolphins not Jets Eagles trade. Like they are the winner of that pick trade fiasco that they did. They are 100% the winners. And I've got really good faith in them because again, I do feel like Jacoby Brissett is going to take over that leading role, and he is going to be the one that leads them to hopefully the eventual promised land for them. I really feel like that could be the case for them, especially when they just use up these picks because they don't need to get a QB either way. You know, it's either Tua or Jacoby. Either way, don't need to get a QB, so just buff up everybody else.
Yeah. No, they can become truly special. And even if it is still Tua out there, I think Tua can maybe achieve an average. And their
Yeah,
defense is really achieving something special. It seems they're headed that way. And their coach, Brian Flores, is he's a good coach. They could get across the finish line without an elite QB. But moving on to a team with some QB struggles with New England. We talked about New England at length recently. Uh,
so don't want to talk too
I
much about them.
yeah, did not like their offseason.
I
They just threw money at the problem and expected it to get fixed and let the chips fall where they may. Their
and the
signings aren't even that great. These guys that they brought in, especially on offense, bringing in two above average tight ends. I like
and
Jonnu Smith a lot. I
overpaying
like
them.
Hunter Henry. Overpaying them. Now you have two top five compensated tight ends on your team. How does that make any sense? You went from paying nobody to overpaying everybody. I mean, they way overpaid Judon. He's good, but he's not that
No,
elite
no,
pass rusher.
I don't even think Baltimore wanted like Baltimore would never have paid him that much ever,
Baltimore was like,
ever.
wash my hands clean of this. Good luck with that. We'll take our third round compensatory pick. Haha, you guys are stupid. I mean, the the Patriots, and then also bringing in Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne.
I mean, again, I'm not as low on Aguilar as Joel is, but at the same time, like they overpaid everybody. They overpaid literally everybody, and like it's just it feels weird. It reeks of desperation to me. It reeks
Belichick's
of
trying to
desperation,
catch
and
up to Brady.
yeah,
And
and
Newton's not going to get them there. He's not going to get them back to the promised land.
I
I don't think they
love
even
Newton.
make it to the playoffs again.
No,
I
yeah,
I just don't see it happening. I
no,
maybe Belichick figures it out. Maybe they have a great draft. Maybe they manage to snag a QB in the draft that steals Cam Newton's job, and he really ends up being the overpaid tutor, basically. I mean, and maybe it ends up working out. And 2 years from now, we're like, whoa, we misread this whole situation.
no, yeah.
Hope that for Belichick. I love Belichick. I'm not a
I mean,
Belichick
I
hater.
personally
I know you are a little bit, but
no,
it's
no, no.
just
I'm not rooting for it. I just don't care either way.
no, that's fair. And then the sussest move overall that they made, despite all these other things that I was hating on, they had all this money and they didn't retain Joe Thuney. How do you justify that as an organization? And if the problem was Joe Thuney wanting to leave, why is that? Got to be introspective with that. It's that right there is enough for me to be whoa, 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 whoa on this whole offseason for them.
No, 100%. And again, I don't want to talk about them too much, but yeah, it just reeks of desperation. I'm afraid that Bill Belichick is just making these moves like all like gun ho and bow 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 bow. But
He's never done this before. Why
no,
is
he
he
really
changing up his
hasn't.
method? Why?
But
It's not.
no, 100%. It feels so off and it feels so weird. But I mean, moving on to another team, and again, the reason why I do feel like the Patriots are going to be on an uphill battle is because the other three teams all look like they're making great decisions. The New York Jets adding Corey Davis and Carl Lawson and Sheldon Rankins, and then trading Darnold, that fantastic trade, like and
No,
and
they're killing it.
And
The
they're going to get Zach Wilson,
their
Broadway
overall killing
Zach.
it. Hashtag Broadway Zach. There he is. I mean, Zach Wilson really could be the next Joe Namath esque person for
He's
them.
got
They haven't had anything since Joe Namath,
no,
so I hope for them. The Jets fans, they deserve it at this point.
no,
They deserve some success.
I love Wilson. I love his energy and his attitude. The headband that he wears. Any team, anytime, any place. The Jets need that mentality from their leader right now. Because I think they're getting that with Robert Saleh, but that needs to continue through the quarterback as well, and that will happen with Zach Wilson.
Yes.
So again, because again, just like the Lions, the Jets have, or not never,
No
but they
reason to
haven't.
be faith. No reason to be faith in them because of how bad they've been and how many rebuilds we've watched them do. And I'm still Joe Douglas. He just reeks of something. There's something going on over there with him, with the amount of players that he's managed to piss off. So who's
No,
to
Joe.
say that all these new talents that he's brought in aren't just going to leave too or not pan out?
Yeah,
He managed to send away Jamal Adams, and there's rumors that Marcus May is upset with him. Robbie Anderson, in an interview, kind of trashed him in the organization. All these star talents that they've let leave, and he's the reason they left, and he's still there. So if there's a cancer, no matter how good you do, it doesn't really matter. He's still going to destroy it. So he's not. I don't have full sus on him, but it's the
but
warning lights on.
it needs we. It's almost like there needs to be an answer. Like like
One way or the other. If
yeah, we need to know, because it does look very sus, but at the same time, like, it could not be sus. Like, it's I like the moves that they're doing, but again, yeah, you do have to watch out for Joe Douglas, because yeah, there has been those, cases of people that are just like, Joe Douglas is a nincompoop. Like, he sucks, he's dumb, he's an idiot, yada yada yada. Like, all of that. And I mean, hey, maybe Robert Saleh is strong enough and can maybe even push the owner to fire Joe Douglas at some point. Maybe, if he's really that much of a problem. But that, I mean, we're just got to wait for the future to tell on that one. But as of right now, it's looking bright for the Jets. But yeah, that is going to be, um
everything for this week.
yeah, that's yeah,
We had a
that's
full
everything.
week this week. That was a lot longer than I think either me or Lee intended, but it was a
Yeah,
lot
and
of fun.
I think it was because of the O lineman. I think it was a
I
lot to
shook
go
you.
through. It was a lot to go through. But
No, that's true.
anyone that stayed and watched it all, thank you very much for watching all of this. If you're just watching the shorter clips that I'm going to make, thank you for watching those as well. Um, Please, we would love to know uh, your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe, do all that good YouTube algorithm stuff. Um, and look forward to next week when we do talk about edge rushers and linebackers. And we're also going to be talking about the NFC and AFC West. Finally, the last teams that we need to talk about before the draft comes up. But until then, we are signing off. This is Two Nerd Sportscast. I'm Lee.
And I'm Joel, and we'll see you next week.